Shadow work is gaining in popularity at the moment. There are shadow work journals popping up all over the place. £15 off Amazon, and you can integrate and reclaim your shadow, which isn't entirely true. These are great tools for helping you bring awareness to the shadow. But in truth, shadow work is so much deeper. It's a much deeper process. And I want to show you today some ways that we are getting shadow work wrong. So shadow work is reclaiming unconscious parts of yourself so that you can move towards wholeness and become the true self, so that you're no longer acting out of the ego fear. You're acting from this place of being one within yourself. But many people approach shadow work in a way that keeps them stuck. There are many, like I say, quick and easy fixes to shadow work that aren't necessarily true and may not help you. So here are some ways that people are getting shadow work wrong and how you can approach it differently. So shadow work journals, they are a great tool for awareness. Journaling is a great tool for awareness and understanding. Journaling on its own is not shadow work. So journaling is not shadow work. Shadow work is about integration. It's about acceptance. It's about seeing the unconscious parts of your mind as you project them out into the world and reclaiming them as part of you. You can't do that with just a pen and paper. You can understand your projections. You can ask yourself questions, but you then have to take this out into the external world to make the changes where you might feel uncomfortable because your ego is trying to protect you. But yeah, you cannot just simply do shadow work through journaling. People believe that shadow work is about fixing yourself. It's not. Self-development, personal development has a bit of a toxic side to it, which I have experienced myself, in that we believe that we need fixing, we need improving, that we are not good enough as we already are. It actually feeds into a massive shadow aspect of the collective unconscious, not like of us as humans as a collective, and not just as like on our own. Like, it's a massive, this idea that we are inherently not good enough for whatever is a massive shadow. So we actually don't need fixing. What we need to do is bring acceptance. Shadow work is about accepting yourself for all of who you are. I had a really interesting conversation with a client yesterday who was going through one of my programs and trying to understand the shadow and understand her shadow. So anger is in her shadow, part of her shadow. And she said, does that mean that I'm an angry person? And I tried to explain that it means that your ego doesn't think it's safe to feel or show anger because of past experiences. So it has pushed anger out into the world. And then anger is then seen as bad, so that you don't become angry, you stay away from angry people. But in actual fact, every emotion, every personality trait has a light and a dark. So anger also helps us with not like, it helps us set boundaries, it helps us feel passion. Like, anger transmuted turns into passion, creativity. So anger isn't either good or bad. It's just the ego that has made anger bad because of what anger did to us when we were younger. So if my client can accept that anger is alive in her because it's alive in all of us, and it's okay. Anger can be safe when it's not repressed and unconscious. When it's an unconscious anger, it can be safe. Then you're accepting yourself. When you can accept yourself, you become whole. In your wholeness, you reclaim your power. So shadow work is not about fixing yourself. It's about accepting all of who you are, the light and the dark. Nobody is inherently evil or inherently good. We all have heaven and hell within us all. People believe that shadow work is painful and that it's something to be feared. No, shadow work is liberating. The emotions, because the ego is afraid of feeling these emotions like anger. So shadow work then gets a bad rep because, oh, that's scary. What am I going to find? No, your ego is the ego that's scared, because the ego doesn't want to change. It doesn't want to face anything uncomfortable. So shadow work is actually incredibly liberating, especially when done right, because it's about transformation. You're transforming yourself into the whole magical, powerful being that you are. But that means that you rely less on the ego's survival mechanism and your conditionings that have kept you safe since you were a child. So the other thing that people find painful or scary about shadow work are the emotions that you're going to have to face. Yes, emotions can be painful, but when you know how to process them properly, to sit with them, to be with them, to love them, to accept them, then they don't linger and you free them. They transmute, you free them, and they don't have control over you anymore, keeping you small, keeping you stuck in the small self. So people believe shadow work is scary, when in reality, it's truly liberating. And then shadow work being a one-time process. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, honey. This is a lifelong journey. This is a lifelong process. The shadow evolves as we evolve. We uncover new layers. This is a way of living, but like I've just mentioned, it is an incredibly liberating way of living, because you will see rather than being stuck in the same cycles, you will see the evolution of your life. And you might have periods of your life where you are working on one layer of a shadow and it feels particularly intense, but then you might have like areas, like times of freedom, enjoying the new inspired energy that you have, and then you might need to go back into a period of more intensive shadow work. And it's all okay. It's all a journey. The reason we resist it is because we believe that the ego wants to chase pleasure and avoid pain. So we believe that we shouldn't be in shadow work all the time. And what does this mean? No, it is just it's a part of life. You can also, if it's too heavy, choose to take a step back, and that's okay. Like I've done it, I've taken a step back and then I've gone back into it again. It's okay. You have to go at your own pace. Sometimes if there is something that you're just not wanting to face because it feels painful and you're trying to avoid it, the universe will keep saying, come on, here you go, this thing, until you eventually face it. But once you face it, that evolves, it transmutes, you reclaim your power. So how you can do shadow work right. So it's about awareness, acceptance, and taking action. So you become aware of the unconscious parts of you that you have rejected or projected. You accept all of who you are, and you take action outside of your conditioning, outside of how you've been conditioned to live your life in a new liberating way. That is a very, very simple formula for how to do shadow work right. You can engage directly with the shadow. So instead of just journaling, instead of just making notes, instead of just thinking about your shadow, engage with your shadow. It's still a part of you. It is alive in your psyche. So you can engage with your shadow aspects directly. And I released an active imagination about this last week to help you. You can engage directly with your shadow, and this will help you to transmute it, find out what it needs, why is it hiding, what does it need from you, how can you help it grow and evolve and transmute and become light. And this goes for the golden shadow as well as the shadow. The golden shadow being the light aspects that we project out. So the things that we admire, as well as things like anger, so we can reclaim everything. We must reclaim and accept everything for us to fully integrate it. Watch your in saying that, watch your projections. So awareness, heightened awareness of how you interact with people, how you judge people, what are you judging, what's triggering you, where are you in awe of somebody. Like, watch your projections and how they see, how they sit with your shadow self, and then do the work to, you've got the awareness, do the work to accept, integrate, and then act outside of the conditioned pattern. So shadow work really truly leads to transformation. When you are in this, it leads to transformation, because you're not just creating awareness, you're not just in a loop of awareness, of fixing yourself, of thinking, judging. Just being in awareness is continued judgment. So yeah, okay, that I'm aware of that, and then what's the subtle judgment behind it? But once you bring in the acceptance and you're able to act outside of it, this is when you transform it, and you stop acting in those patterns that avoid anger, which are keeping you small and hiding. You stop acting, and again, you're able to reclaim your confidence and your talent, and you allow yourself to be seen, so that you allow yourself to be seen, and your business suddenly takes off, and the things that you desire start to come to you. So you find and feel new power within you. You feel the creative energy within you when you start to transform your shadow. It is a process like no other. It is so liberating. I will stop saying that. You need to try it for yourself, really, guys. So a couple of, me saying it's not all about journaling, but I find that journaling is an extremely helpful tool. Journaling, meditation, active imagination, working with a professional. Nothing beats working with a shadow work coach or a Jungian analyst. And their Jungian shadow work, I believe, it kind of goes a bit deeper. Jung didn't coin the term shadow work, but we use it in the Jungian world. And Carl Jung, we work with the archetypes of the mind and different. It kind of goes a little bit deeper than what your shadow work journal might. But it's like there are some really great tools to help you with shadow work, but nothing beats working with somebody one-on-one, because your ego, when you're journaling, might not let you see everything, might not let you see the whole picture. If you're in an active imagination, having someone to guide you through that, hearing your answers, being able to coach you through it while you're in the subconscious mind, is transformational. So we have great tools, but working with somebody one-on-one is life-changing. So you can ask, where have I been trying to fix myself instead of accept myself? This will help you understand like where you've been stuck in that loop and how you need to accept yourself more. And then another prompt is, how can I use shadow work to transform? Which area of my life can I transform with shadow work? And it works across the board: health, love, money, business, wherever you are. And if you would like to take the journaling deeper, I have created a shadow and dream work bundle, which helps you go into dream work, dream interpretation, another incredible way to do shadow work. Your shadow is constantly showing up in your dreams. So shadow and dream work bundle, which you can learn more about in the description below, incredibly helpful for helping you find the awareness. There are tools in there to help you with integration. There's an exclusive active imagination and a meditation to help you sit with emotions, so understand the emotions that you're going through fully, and as well as other integration tools, a dream work guide, shadow work guide. It's really, really intensive, amazing value. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If there are any other ideas that you might have about shadow work that you want me to debunk, just pop them in the comments and I'll be more than happy to help. Have an amazing day.